Good evening, Shortcuts. Stephen here. This is video 2 for Wednesday, August 23rd. Price list going out at 9 p.m. as always. It was very nice to see some of you at Hurstville yesterday. Record fair was pretty quiet, but it was still fun. I enjoyed it. Now, this list is dominated by blues and soul and erotica. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm not quite sure how exactly I'm going to show you the album in question. It's a little bit later in the pile, but we'll see when we get there. So yeah, blues and soul. In the video 1 for this week, the classic rock and pop video, I started off with somewhat of a rarity, a selection of non-Japanese pressings. Well, you know what? That's going to continue. The first 3 records here are non-Japanese. So yes, let's see what that means. This first record is a UK pressing, and the sleeve of this record is just wonderful. This is a record called My Feeling for the Blues by Freddie King, one of the great blues guitarists. So the rumor has it in 1971, Freddie King was being kind of introduced to the world by Leon Russell, the pianist and multi-instrumentalist and songwriter. And the story goes that the European tour had gone well, Amsterdam, I think in Germany, and they were in Paris for the celebration that Leon Russell was bringing on tour, various artists. Freddie King didn't appear. And the rumor was amongst the attendees that he'd been so incredible in the previous shows that arch-egotist Leon Russell had nixed him from appearing, saying that they didn't have enough time. So Freddie King went to a blues watering hole somewhere in Paris and played till 3 a.m. And it was around that tour that he recorded this record. And he got some pretty famous friends to help him. Some names that are kind of Shortcuts royalty, like Cornell Dupree on guitar. But listen to this. All the arrangements are by Donny Hathaway, except Woke Up This Morning, which was arranged by King Curtis. King Curtis produced this album. So what does that mean? That means that unlike some other Freddie King records where there's a piano or strings, or he liked production, he liked that. This record is bare. There's a few horns, but it's really Freddie and his guitar, and his guitar tone is outrageously good. And I love these UK Atlantic label records. Can you see that? The blue and orange label? I got some old AC/DC records on the blue and orange label, and they're rather wonderful. 1974. A fabulous blues record. A beautiful thing. UK pressing. Heavy vinyl. Sounds great. The only reason I'm selling it is because I've got some duplicates and it's making the cut. I love that record. This next one is a duplicate as well. Now, look at this. The Natural Blues by Taj Mahal. His second record. His first record was eponymously titled. And you know what? It's an okay record. It's a 6 out of 10 record. You could see what he was trying to do. the acoustic melodies didn't quite work, and his voice was straining, and he didn't quite know the range that he needed to sing in, and he was trying to play electric blues in the style of, a voice. You see, someone like B.B. King has an incredible range. He's surprising, and he can really go. Taj Mahal is not quite the case, but here he worked it out. Laid back, mellow. He played within his range. There are some electric overtones, but this record is about sitting out on the porch when it's sunny and just chilling. You can just tell from the titles. She caught the Katy and left me a mule to ride. You don't miss your water till your well runs dry. I ain't gonna let nobody steal my jelly roll. Going up to the country, gonna paint my mailbox blue. Those are all genuine titles. And it's this kind of tribal, the cover almost makes it sound like it's not, it's mellow and beautiful and pretty. And what's really cool, this is an Aussie first press. Immaculate condition, never before sold on Discogs. A very rare and interesting record. There you go, Taj Mahal, Aussie first press, The Natural Blues. This next one is also an Aussie first press, but you're more likely to have heard of this one. This is very rare. This is the Aussie first press of What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. So, like the Aussie Taj Mahal, the sleeves, oh man, Aussie sleeves, just, they're just so cheap. You can see the ring wear. Thankfully, in both cases, the spine is intact, just. But, it's no hard cardboard gatefold. There's not even the US style gatefolds. You don't have that wonderful back sleeve with him with the long coat. You have these notes written by Marvin Gaye himself, of course, dedicating this record to Mrs. Alberta Gaye and Mr. Marvin P. Gaye, which is somewhat ironic for all sorts of just terrible reasons. But there you have it, the Aussie first press of What's Going On. Vinyl, superb. Look at the black Tamla Motown label. Strong VG++, plays great. Doesn't have the oomph of the recent represses or the Japanese presses, but it does pretty well. And it's a beautiful thing. There you have it. 3 non-Japanese presses, but now we got some interesting ones. I'm going to talk about this record because of the recent death of Tony Bennett. So this is the record he did with Bill Evans in the mid-70s. He was 46 years of age. And to a certain extent, kind of washed up. He was kind of done. There he is in the studio with the crew. But in 1975, he signed this deal to do 2 records with Bill Evans on the Fantasy label. And this is the Japanese first press. And they put words to some of, Bill Evans' greatest songs. So, for example, there's the lyrics that he wrote for Waltz for Debbie, as an example. But one of the things that strikes me in playing this record, I have quite a few copies now over the years, is just how incredible Tony Bennett's voice is. To be frank, he's kind of learning a little bit about how to be a jazz singer. It wasn't what he had been doing. And you can kind of hear on some of his later records, he enters at it's like he comes back after Bill Evans improvises a piece. It's like he comes in where he left. And if you listen to some of the great jazz vocalists like Sarah Vaughan or the vocalists who my favorite, Billie Holiday, they don't come in where they left. They come in where your brain's going, and so it creates this momentum. It is like, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, end. It's like you're trained to hear that way if you're, westernized rock and roll lover. But when you're listening to jazz, you can hear that the journey is ongoing, and Tony Bennett sometimes just feels a bit flat, but I still love it. And hey, what the hell am I doing criticizing Tony Bennett? The guy's a legend. No longer with us, but a legend. And so is Bill Evans. Now, I've got a couple of soul records here. In fact, 3 in a row, but I'm going to talk about these 2 first. This is Wanted, One Soul Singer by Johnny Taylor. And this is Soul Children, Finders Keepers. I've been obsessing with Stax since I bought the Stax box set a couple of months back. And so this was Soul Children's first record after Stax went bankrupt in the mid-70s. 3 vocalists, all 3 are amazing. But the reason I've paired these 2 is that we're talking Southern Soul here. So Southern Soul brings in gospel, not blues. So you're not talking Chicago Soul. Philly Soul, it's strings and drama. Southern Soul, Alabama Soul, wherever these guys, I can't quite remember where Johnny Taylor's from. You've got horns, but you've got gospel. And in this case, you've got a baritone voice that really lends weight to the songs. And they're just really fun and interesting. And there's, there's about 8 or 9 songs on the record. 6 or 7 of them are absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of clunkers, but I do love this very, very much. I love this one even more, though. Wanted, One Soul Singer. So why Johnny Taylor? So Johnny Taylor, this is the record that got Johnny Taylor his contract on Stax. So this was on Atlantic in 1967, maybe 1968. He then went to Stax and had a really great career before Stax went belly up. So what is it about Johnny Taylor? And I was thinking about why I don't get on with Wilson Pickett, but I love Al Green and I love Johnny Taylor. And the reason is that I feel uneasy when the vocalists strain to the point where I can feel the effort that they're having to exert to do what they want to do. So that's why they're the singers that appeal to me are the singers where it feels effortless, or like Taj Mahal, where he learned by his second record what wasn't working on his first, and he didn't try and put himself in a position where it would kind of clang. So Wilson Pickett and other singers of that ilk are all about, Edwin Starr, and it's all about generating this growl and this rumble. And you know what? It just turns me off. I just don't enjoy it as much. This guy is slick. He is just on point. He doesn't make his voice go to places it doesn't want to go, and is super melodic. Love this record. If you haven't heard it, give it a go. And I just mentioned Al Green. So this is Al Green's final record of that masterful run that he did with Willie Mitchell as his producer on High Records. This is his last before he embraced Christianity and went off and became a preacher. This is a white label promo of Have a Good Time. I hope Jacob doesn't mind, but Jacob is a member of the club, and he raves about Japanese pressings of Al Green. I love them too, and this is another just a lovely soul album. It's just a lot of beauty in there. All right, now we reach the kind of controversial piece. So in 1971, the Victor label in Japan, which was a label that had kind of jazz and some blues orchestras and all sorts. This is the label here. You can see the record called Love. Released a compilation, a bunch of different kind of covers, and some of them almost sound like surf rock, and then some of them are more like erotica. It's a weird, all over the place bundle. So another club member, Joseph, he got the last one of these. I've never put one on a video because I'm a little bit wary of how it might go, because the book that it comes in is, you can see Love, has got, you can see there, photos by Y. Tatsuki. So it's kind of Yasushiro Tatsuki, who was very famous at the time in Japan photographer. And he took a series of quite erotic images that kind of go across this book. Now, if I flip this page, this video is likely to get banned. So I'm going to have to try and describe what I see, which is going to be interesting. For those of you, I will put the link up. But what I'm seeing here is a lady who has kind of thigh-high leather boots, and she's kind of grabbed one leg, and her knee is kind of by her ear, and her left thumb is wrapped around this leather-clad leg, and it's in her mouth. It's kind of interesting. There's another, trust me, you're just going to have to go to the link, but there's another that involves two televisions and a very unusual image. It's pretty special. This is it. Love. The Victor promo compilation. Not many of you will have that. I've got some classics to come. Two of my favourite jazz records. Do I need to give this any further introduction? It's got a lovely copy, 1977 series. It's got the cap obi. It's been play tested by one of my club members who liked it very, very much indeed. And this is my favourite John Coltrane album. As you know, John Coltrane plays the blues. Every time I see it, I grab it because it's wonderful. It's so good. I know some of you out there disagree with me, but you're wrong. Blues to Elvin, Blues to Bechet, and Blues to You being the three opening tracks, which for me are the heart of the album. I love side one of this record. I think it's absolutely amazing. John Coltrane plays the blues. Before I move on to the last record, which is somewhat of a tragic story, I do have a blues record. This is the latest edition, John Mayall. This is a John Mayall band that is more like a blues funk jam band. It's very loose. You can see he's on stage with a leg brace. I'm not quite sure what the story is. Definite Cream influences. One of the more, I think, interesting Mayall releases beyond his kind of classics with the Blues Breakers. And then finally I'm going to finish with this record. Gene Ammons and Sonny Stitt. This record's called Dig Him, made in the late 60s. And what's terrible about this record is Ammons and Stitt, when you listen to this record, you can hear that they're friends. You can hear the camaraderie in the playing, and they really push each other. And it's really something. But by the time the record came out, Ammons has had a fate that befell a lot of African American men in the late 60s in the US, and women too, for all I know. But he was serving a really long prison sentence for heroin possession. I think it was like 6 years or 7 years. And so this record came out when he was in prison. And so, I don't know, it kind of just stuck with me that these musicians in this time worked so hard that they kind of medicated themselves to kind of try and keep up with what they had to do. But they were still amazing musicians and amazing creators and amazing artists. So it's a really lovely little record. It's not one of his glorious masterpieces, but I've got a soft spot for it because of the predicament he found himself in, you know. And yeah, it's a lovely thing. All right, there you have it. Jazz and blues and souls, list 2 shortcuts. Wednesday, 9 p.m. If you have any questions before then, let me know. Please leave a comment. Apparently it works, seems to, getting hundreds of hits now. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I hope you found something interesting. And yeah, I will see how we go on Wednesday. Thanks a lot.